Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Coffee with Carriers in the Mid-Atlantic area. My name is Dave Cardwell Sr., Executive Vice President of Amwins Connect Administrators, and we welcome Brad Warren today from CareFirst.
Yeah, Dave, thank you so much. Brad Warren, CareFirst BlueCross BlueShield, Sales Director in the small group and individual market space. Thrilled to be here with you today. Excited to talk about all the stuff that we've got going on in partnership with Amwins.
So CareFirst and Group Benefit Services has a long history of working together.
Yeah.
You know, Kathy and Bill Simmons in 1980 started Group Benefits, and we've been working together ever since. So I lived through the 1982 when BlueCross BlueShield merged as one company.
Yeah.
You know, and then obviously in 2010 or 1997 is when they merged with DC Blue Cross,
Yep.
forming CareFirst as we know it today.
Yep.
Right. So the long history of working together, and you've been there for what, 28 years, and
28 years. Yep, I started when I was 7, right?
right.
Here all week, folks. Tip your bartenders. Sorry,
Right.
go ahead.
So we've worked together.
Yes, a long
And
time.
obviously, our mission is to provide services to brokers and their clients, and to make their job easier.
Yes.
That being said, I know currently we're partnering, you know, closer together than ever before, primarily because, you know, the industry at large has gotten more complicated.
Oh.
So I know CareFirst is committed to providing community services more than ever before, and I'd like to hear more about that. So I know you guys are really committed to that market space. So
Yeah, well, for sure. I think that when you are a not-for-profit, as we are, it makes it easier to focus on our mission, right, as being a community partner. So it really, literally is our mission as an organization to increase access and affordability of care, because I don't think anybody out there right now would consider the care that health insurance is either accessible to all or affordable. So we have a very clear focus, a very clear goal. We work hard at it, but we're also in the community, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, I think, as we get through the podcast, that we're not just a carrier, we're an employer. We're a large employer in the region. So everyone, for the most part, that works at CareFirst also lives in the region, right? So we spend a lot of time building these values of community service, of empathy, of caring for others, of taking care of others holistically, not just paying claims. So yeah, I mean, our role as a carrier has evolved, and I think, you know, you mentioned you've been in the industry a long time. I've been in the industry for a long time. If you think about the evolution from just being a claims payer, right? Send in a claim, verify the benefits, apply the discount, pay the claim, right? Those are kind of the old days.
right.
We've evolved into such a different service. It's a much more holistic approach to health. It's not just reactive, and after you get sick, we'll pay your claim. It's what other needs do you have, right? As an employer, as a member.
Well, I think it was like 2010 when CareFirst made a commitment to partner closer with providers in the delivery system,
Right.
with patient-centered medical home.
That's right.
So that changed the face of what CareFirst was doing in their delivery system. So that's had much success as well.
It has, and we felt and we feel that we are uniquely positioned, not just in Maryland, D.C., Northern Virginia, but wherever there's a blue plan. Because of our volume, we believe that it gives us a certain conversation, a certain partnership with our providers. We're able to have conversations and impart change to the way that care is delivered, the way that care is reimbursed. So we talk about this idea of going from volume to value, right? And that's what really prompted the whole primary care or patient-centered medical home program, was this idea of the primary care provider was the quarterback for all the care, but they received the least amount of reimbursement. We're going to try to change the paradigm and empower them to control some of the care, not restrict care, right? But to provide more effective care and to be part of the equation from the beginning and to help coordinate care.
Yeah, and they were actually incentivized to improve outcomes.
That's right.
So I think that was the real home run, right?
Yeah, I appreciate that. So it's more of a focus on outcomes, not paying for volume, and this idea that if a member goes back to a provider, goes back to the hospital for the same procedure, because it wasn't done right the first time, that they should have a stake in the game, that we shouldn't have to pay for the same thing 3 times, right? So it's a focus on outcomes as opposed to just, again, just volume. And it's incentivizing the wrong behavior.
Yep. So Brad, you had mentioned that CareFirst was non-for-profit. Can you share with the audience a little bit more about what that means?
Yeah, I would be happy to. That's a very important part of who we are as an organization. That is our DNA. Essentially what it means is we don't have shareholders. Doesn't mean that we don't make money. We have revenue. For the most part, our revenue gets reinvested into the organization. You're going to see it come through in our premiums. What it also means is that we focus on people, not profit. And I think that's an important distinction that I want to draw out. We think about our mission. Think about affording or providing affordable and accessible care. Being not-for-profit really helps kind of align that corporate ethos, not chasing shareholder proceeds, right? Not chasing a bigger share price, doing the right thing, innovating, investing resources where they belong. So we think that is a very important part of who we are. It helps drive our culture as an organization. It does form our ethos in terms of the message that we send to our associates, to our members. In fact, we don't call each other associates anymore. We're difference makers, right? And I think that really does reflect how we go about doing our business each day. We're difference makers.
Yep.
And we've got lots of different campaigns, but the one that's kind of jumping out to me right now is we've got each year, we've got a day of action and equity, right? Where we actually take the day and we spend it in the community. And it's an organized event, but you spend time building parks and to kind of educate folks on nutrition and just spend a lot of time in multiple different places throughout the region in the community. And, I lived in Baltimore City for a long time, and I spent my day of equity in action in a park in Baltimore City. And it's different when you're actually there, seeing the work being done, doing the work, right? It's different than just writing a check. It's great to have the money. It's great to write a check. But when you're actually there, seeing the impact of your work and seeing the people's lives that you affect and that you impact,
absolutely.
I just feel that we feel that it's much more meaningful as an organization in terms of being in the community.
Yep. And we had talked about how long we had been in the industry.
Yes, long time.
Sorry about mentioning how many years.
No, it's okay. I own it.
But we've been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
And when you wake up and you're going through school, we don't think of being in the insurance business as a career. But we have. We've made it a career. And it's probably for good cause. We provide an incredible service to the community.
Yeah.
The brokers and their clients and all the way down to their employees. So, you've been doing this a long time as well as I have. So kind of share with me what kept you in this business and why we're still sitting here doing this.
I don't think that there really is a traditional pathway into the field of insurance sales. I mean, I'm sure that there are some folks that come, from families where they had lots of, insurance people in their family and they thought about it. That was not the case for me. I was an English major and graduated from a tiny college up in Pennsylvania, and at some point had to kind of go out and get a job. And I know this is going to shock you, Dave, but the world was not clamoring to hire English majors. So I just kind of took the first job that I could take, just to kind of pay some bills. And the first job that I had, I was working for an insurance replacement rental car place, right? Those places when you're in an accident, they'll meet you at the auto body place. They'll pull up with a truck with a car in the back. That was me. I was that guy. It wasn't a terrible job. Probably wasn't something that I envisioned myself doing for the rest of my life. But I did that, and it was not a great environment. They tried to make it a little bit warmer, and they tried to keep people there as long as they could. Each summer, they would have a company picnic, and I was there for one of the company picnics. And at the company picnic, they had a softball game. Right? And everybody's encouraged to play the softball game. The regional manager was like one of these guys that played in like an adult softball league, and he was type A guy, really into softball, and he had all his gear, and he went there, but all right, we'll play softball. And I played a little bit of baseball, but I didn't play a lot of softball. And it was, I don't know if you play a lot of softball, but it was the big looping pitches, and it was just, I was like really kind of thrown off by it. And the regional manager is out in left field. I can remember this like it was yesterday. And he sees me kind of like flailing away at these pitches, and he goes like this to the other guys in the outfield. Let's move it in. Let's everybody move it in, right? And I had like a David Banner moment because people are like snickering, and I was just kind of like, people behind me were laughing. And so the next pitch comes in, and it was like a beach ball, right? And I just cranked it. When you hit the ball like in the sweet spot of the bat, you can barely feel it. Majestic shot over the general manager's head. He turns and he's running for it. And I don't know what it was about that moment, but I felt the need to like taunt him as I'm running around the bases. So I'm laughing, and I get back and I'm high-fiving. And I really didn't think too much about it. That was a Saturday. Got fired on Tuesday. It was probably not the smartest thing that I could have done, but maybe like that was my way of that was like my, mic drop moment, right? I'm out of here. So I promise I'm going somewhere with this. Next Monday, I was talking to a friend of mine from the same place who had left, and he said, why don't you call Blue Cross and Blue Shield? They've got like a temp service there, and you can just walk up and like have an interview, and they'll give you like an assessment. I'm like, I don't know that I want to, but I know that I need to pay rent, I need to eat, and maybe buy a beer here and there. So I went to this temp service, and they were asking me questions. Well, do you have any accounting experience? No accounting experience. Finance? Nope. Marketing? No. Any business experience at all? No, not really. And she was about to say, well, I don't know that this is a great fit for you. And a recruiter was like standing behind her. She said, actually, we've got a person in the sales unit that just went out on maternity leave, and we need someone to fill in for like a month. So what do you think about that? Yeah. Do I get paid every week? Yes, you do. Then I'll take it. It sounds great. And so I started doing that. And I think from the first day, people would come up and introduce themselves and were really kind. I met some really good people. We would go out and we would have fun. And it was just felt like a really good place to be, right? Did I think that I wanted to be selling insurance? No. But I knew that I was having fun. I knew that I was part of a culture that was inclusive, and just something felt good about working there. Long story short, they hired me. I stayed on permanently, made some good connections. That was 27 years ago. I really haven't looked back. I've really never seriously thought about leaving, because it really is a great culture and there's great leadership. And I think that for me, it's all about building a community at work.
So you're saying that home run led you to this career?
It did. You know what it's like? It's like the butterfly effect, right? The chaos theory. Like a butterfly flaps its wings in South America, and there's a hurricane in the Gulf. It was like that. Like, yeah, what if I struck out on that pitch? Or we wouldn't be having this conversation, Dave.
You still be renting cars?
That's right. I don't think I'd be doing that, but yeah.
So, we both got into this business in the mid-20s, when we were in our mid-20s.
Yes.
And the first thing I realized, one, is to have a good carrier to partner with. But two, that brokers are the distribution to our products, right, and service.
Yep.
So the first thing I realized is they needed help. They're busy building relationships with their clients, but they needed help, support, backroom office support, quoting, underwriting, case submission, scrubbing the paperwork. So at that time, even as young as I was, I realized they needed help. And then having a strong partner like CareFirst, BlueCross BlueShield at the time. Yeah. But I realized we had a place. And and that's been longer than you've been in the business, but it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And we're still doing the same things. And the industry keeps changing. Yeah. One of the first things I learned about this industry, just when you think you understand it, it changes. Yeah. And that's what's really important. That makes our role in the broker community and then providing services to their clients even more important ever today.
It is important, and I think it's important for us as partners in this evolution of this industry to stay close so that we're evolving together. Right. Because at the end of the day, we want the customer's experience to be optimal. And if we're heading in different directions, they're going to be the ones that are caught in the middle. I think it's critical to have good partnerships with our broker community and with our trading partner community.
Yeah, and the employers are paying a lot of money for healthcare today, right? That's not going down. And they're doing it for a good reason, to attract and retain good employees. Right. So that messes the delivery, the communication. And then when they go to the doctors or the pharmacy, that it works.
Yeah.
And over the years, I know that CareFirst has always delivered, always continually improving. And even today, probably CareFirst as well as Amwins is doubling down. Just when you think that things couldn't get worse sometimes with the pandemic and all the things that came with that, both of our companies are doubling down on this business, and it's really exciting to be in the business at this time.
Yeah, it really is. It's a fast-paced business, which is fun to be part of. We've got an innovation lab at CareFirst. We've got a lot of equity partnerships with different types of, lots of different types of organizations that we feel share our values, right? And we feel can help change, flatten out that cost curve, and produce better outcomes. At the end of the day, if you can produce better outcomes, the cost savings are going to come.
Yep, and I was just reading last month, I think March, you were deemed to be the most ethical company in America 10 years in a row. This was your 10th year.
This is true, yes. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that really up, Dave. Exciting. Yes, this is true, and it is something that we're very proud of. It's another thing that kind of permeates and cascades down from Brian Pinnock, who's our CEO, down through the rest of the organization. This idea that we always do the right thing. It's not always the most cost-effective way to do business, but we think at the end of the day, that's what our customers want. They want to know that behind closed doors, we're doing the right thing. And if you think about the reputation of insurance carriers, well, let's just be honest. It's not always, how do I say this tactfully? It's not always that they're looking out for their members in terms of doing the right thing, right? Well, let's just be honest. So we're looking to change the reputation, and I don't know if that's possible, but we're carving out our own space, if that makes sense, as one of the most ethical companies in the world, and we are proud of it. So I appreciate you bringing
so
that up.
you're doing the right things, because in the evolution of this business, we can always get better.
Yep.
And as long as you're moving in the right direction, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And so we're really pleased to be partners with CareFirst, and that relationship will continue and get better and improve. All right, as the market continues to evolve, we've got to become innovative, right? So Amwins Connect Administrators is constantly looking to provide additional services to our brokers and their clients. Marketing campaigns to help them grow their business, providing additional resources so that they can provide resources to their clients. Education is critically as the market keeps changing. We're a service delivery system, so Amwins is currently doubling down and overstaffing to prepare for growth. So these things are critically important to serve the community and the brokers that they serve. Yeah. So, and I know CareFirst is doing the same things as you evolve and get innovative in the marketplace. So as we're working together, I know there's a lot of different things that you guys are doing as well.
It's true. And let me just say this about, you talked about how important the partnership is and how the business is changing and evolving, and it has become a lot more complex. I think that if we're going to do our customers, our brokers a service and make sure that they are getting the best information, we have to be working very closely together in lockstep, have great communication, have a great partnership to make sure that the message always gets through the way that we want it to get through. I think to answer your question directly, there are so many things we think that are part of our evolution in terms of a product. I think that three that kind of jump out to me right here. We've been working very closely with a company called CloseKnit that's actually part of CareFirst right now. And CloseKnit is a virtual video provider. What makes CloseKnit different is it is a video visit primary care provider, right? So generally when you think of telemedicine and video visit, it's for more kind of acute illnesses, short duration. But what is really great about close-knit, and I think that the pandemic has kind of pushed this to the forefront of the conversation, is what is the solution for folks that want to have that virtual experience, but they want to have that with their primary care provider, right? They want to have more of a meaningful relationship with a provider, but on the virtual platform, right? So we think that is going to be really kind of a game changer in terms of having, this kind of longitudinal record of your care. We think that that's really meaningful. From a network standpoint, we're launching our high performance network. Essentially what we're going to be doing is, through different mechanisms, providing a higher performance network, just like the name says, providers that we've identified throughout the Blue system that provide more effective, efficient care, better outcomes, right? So then it becomes really more of a conversation about steerage, about steering your membership to these high-performance networks. So we have an ASO model that's available now. Fully insured model is really launching any day. Probably by the time this is aired, this will be launched. The third thing that I would mention is a program called Smart Shopper. We talk about this idea of incentivizing members and steerage. We would like to have our members seeing, and our accounts would like to have their members seeing the most cost-effective providers. So we put a program in place called Smart Shopper, where if you're a member and you're looking for a provider and you choose a provider that is in the top tier, you're going to get an incentive, right? You're going to get a gift card. You're going to get, funds. And it really has been just a game changer. Some of our largest accounts have put it in place. And so far, it's really working great. There's been a lot of positive feedback about the Smart Shopper program. So we're excited to see how that kind of continues its trajectory.
When you do incentivize people, it will drive behavior.
It will, yeah.
And, both of us are in that small to mid-size groups.
Yes.
And as you know, they don't have HR departments. So kind of delivering an employee benefit package when you don't really have personnel to drive that.
It's a valuable service.
That's where we come into place. Having that from a broker support, having that quoting technology tool that will move right into enrollments. So making it streamlining administration for these small, mid-sized companies are critical. And then as the payroll companies start coming in, that payroll integration. So all these things play a key role in just delivering our systems. And
Yeah, I
products.
think that's a powerful point, that when you've got a large employer, they've got a well-trained HR department, they've got a clearly defined strategy, they've got compliance teams and staffs, but the small employer doesn't have access to those resources unless they work with a company like Amwins. So I think that is a really, really good point. In terms of the technology that's being offered, it's amazing to see all the different partners that are coming out, the Ben admin players, and it's really good to have a player in this space that you know and trust and you can partner with. That is a continuing conversation at CareFirst, that how do we work with all the different Ben admin players without alienating any of our large agencies? How do we accept those files? How do we evolve the marketplace? It's important to be able to have resources like Amwins that we can kind of partner with and say, okay, well, how should we do this?
So remember the days where we could just sell insurance?
Yes.
So now it's ACA compliance, COBRA, HIPAA, all the different things that are unrelated to insurance.
Sure.
So somebody needs to help and provide those services. So that's where Amwins Connect's administrator comes in, along with CareFirst. So really just keeping these groups compliant, out of liability situations. So, and again, they don't have compliance department. That's what made me think of that. And we are truly, partners with our brokers and their clients to make sure that they have those resources.
Yeah, we don't spend a lot of time on the golf course anymore, Dave. That's kind of like yesterday's insurance salesman. I think that has become a lot less of a transactional sale. It's become a lot more about people, about communicating your value, about trust. Not that it always wasn't about trust, but I think that it's important today as the products and services become more complex. Again, having a partner that you can trust, I think, is critical.
Now, we both play a key role in the non-group medical business. And, especially during the pandemic, there was a lot of layoffs, so
Right.
people were getting individual non-group products, which we both play a key role in there. But CareFirst is evolving into more of the Medicare space and the Medicare Advantage type programs. So all these things are evolving as we speak. So it's good to see CareFirst really moving in that direction.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, our thought there was that you can't really take care of the community holistically if you're not taking care of the seniors, right? Of those in the Medicare and Medicaid space. So that was a strategic investment. We thought that was critical for our success moving forward.
Yeah, we were talking about the PCMH, and I know that's been a huge shift in CareFirst. So is that particular program evolving more today than 2010 when it was launched?
Yeah, so for sure. Not so much in the primary care specific space, but the logic has expanded to the hospital systems, right? So this idea, again, of being accountable, right, for a budget is essentially the logic of the patient-centered medical home program. So we're doing a lot more partnerships, ACOs, right, accountable care organizations, where you would empower a medical system to give them a global budget. As long as they stay within that global budget, we're not going to micromanage, right? We're not going to pay for volume. We're going to partner. You've got a lot of organizations, a lot of carriers that are building out ACO models. But I think that unless you have that special relationship with the providers, with the hospital systems, that can be a tenuous approach, right?
Yep.
And we like to think that we've got the Blue system, special relationships with our providers because of the volume, because of how long we've been doing it, that we're uniquely positioned to roll out these ACOs, and we're doing it more and more often in our region.
Yeah, and a lot of times people don't really stop to think about how readmissions really play a role in the rising cost of healthcare. So
Quality, sure.
quality of
Yeah.
care and outcomes are critically important.
Yes.
You're in a new role right now, so what are you going to
Yeah.
do differently than that you haven't done in the past?
I can tell you, Dave, that high level, we're going to get back to doing things that make sense for our customers and our broker partners and our full service producer partners that might cause a little bit of pain for us internally. But at the end of the day, I think that that's the way that we should be doing business. And I'll give you an example. I would venture to guess that Amwins has at least 2, maybe 3 small group new business sales consultants. And on the renewal side, probably 5, 6, 7. So what that does is that, makes your folks kind of have like a phone book, right? They don't know who to go to. It's confusing. And one of the things that we've been asking is, well, what can we do to make your lives easier? At the end of the day, that's what we aspire to.
Right.
The number one thing we get is we need less points of contact. So what we're going to do is we're going to assign, and I need to make sure I look closely at this, but we're going to change the staffing model so that our agencies have one point of contact. Doesn't matter if it's a new business sale or renewal sale. A renewal is still a sale, because if our competitors want that piece of business, we need to sell the renewal. It's not like they don't have any other options, right? So the idea is you now have a salesperson that you can call. You don't have to figure out whether it's a new business or renewal or who is it on this account. Let me see, right? One person who will be able to take care of whatever your questions are, whatever your issues are. That dedicated salesperson is going to have a dedicated service person, right? So we're going to get back to this idea. They call them pods. We used to call them just sales teams. But this idea that we're going to have designated sales teams for you, right? It empowers our teams as well. It's not just about accountability. That's certainly a part of it. It's about empowering our sales teams to own the relationship, to own the experience. Because if everyone's responsible, if everyone's accountable, no one's accountable.
Right.
Right? So that's the logic behind that. That's one thing, Dave, that we're going to be doing sooner rather than later. More stuff down the road that we can't unveil today. Maybe on the next episode, we'll see.
All right, awesome. And that's actually the model that Amwins Connect uses on the account administrators. So
Okay.
we dedicate for every broker and their clients, it's always the same person.
Yep.
So you don't have to figure out who you're going to call if you have an
Yes.
issue or a question. You know who it is. So
Yep.
that's a great model. It's worked for us for decades. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Look, we want to be the best at our service delivery. We really do. And I think that for years, if you didn't have Blue Cross and Blue Shield, right, you had like the store brand, right? And I don't know that we necessarily had to push ourselves to be the best at everything. But the competition's fierce. There are good companies out there. And so we need to continue to push ourselves to be the best in every facet: service delivery, networks, care management delivery, innovation, wellness.
Yep.
Right? So we have to continue to push ourselves to live up to the reputation that our brand has in the market today.
Brad, thanks a lot for coming back out. We really value your partnership, and we appreciate everything you guys do with us.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for hosting this forum, and it's always great to kind of talk about all the stuff that we're doing. It's been great.
Yep. And the audience for dropping in, thank you again, and feel free to contact Amwins Connect administrators or CareFirst at any time to discuss our partnership.
We're open for business. Thanks very much.